Well, guys, this is John Luka, and today I have a pleasure of having my friend Adam, who is doing tremendous things, and he just actually flew down here with his plane, and really admire him for what he's doing, and he's doing amazing things in real estate, and he told me a little bit about his story. I'm not gonna ruin it, so I'm gonna allow him to really introduce himself to us. Before that, guys, if you're just new to this channel, this is John Luca once again, and this channel is all about growth, leadership, and entrepreneurship. And today we're still gonna talk about business, and more particularly, we're gonna focus in real estate. And so, Adam, you can just kind of introduce yourself, where people can find you, but we want to hear your story. How did you become a successful real estate investor? In a little bit of a shorter timeline, if I can say, from the time you say you came from Atlanta and now you're here. Obviously, you went through some things, but tell us a little bit of your story, man.
Yeah, so my name's Adam. Grew up in Georgia, moved to Maine about 10 years ago.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's quite a long journey from from
from
there to
Atlanta.
here. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
climate-wise, just every sort of way.
Even the biggest city, right?
Yeah, we were
Yeah.
south of Atlanta in the suburbs, but yeah, it was
Mm.
still quite different from Aroostook County, Maine, where we're
Yeah,
at currently.
yeah. Yeah, yeah. Wow, I'm excited to hear how you're doing deals in the smaller city. But tell us, what it was you coming up, growing up. Were you a wealthy family? You come from a wealthy family, or how was it coming up?
So I grew up in I guess, an average middle-class family in the
Yeah.
suburbs.
Mm.
Sharpsburg, Georgia was a town I actually kind of
Mm-hmm.
grew up in. Um, and my mom was in school to become a doctor
Yeah.
during that time. She finally did become a doctor, but money was still fairly tight, I would say, with school loans,
Mm-hmm.
mortgage payments, and all that. And I
Mm.
have four brothers, so it was five of us children she had to feed and pay for
Mm.
soccer lessons, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
So no, we didn't. I didn't come from a wealthy family.
Okay.
Um, we actually moved. It's a bit of a story, but we moved to North Georgia when I started homeschooling. We actually moved and started attending a Mennonite church.
Okay.
And then from there, we moved to Tennessee. We were actually going to an Amish church for a couple of years. And
Man.
actually, we were in that whole lifestyle. Like, I had no car.
Wow.
We had a horse and buggy, all that.
Man.
And then from Tennessee, we moved to Maine about 10 years ago.
Wow.
And we were farming. As soon as we moved to Maine, I was getting into that's what I'd wanted to do back then.
Yeah. Because you grew up around that lifestyle.
I didn't grow up in that lifestyle. So like when we were in central Georgia, like south of Atlanta, the Sharpsburg area,
Mm-hmm.
like I said, I grew up in the suburbs,
Mm-hmm.
and I didn't get into that farming type lifestyle until I was about 18 years old
Wow.
when I started attending that Amish church. So,
Wow. Wow.
so it's
So how do you go from there to now building a great real estate portfolio at the same time doing new builds and all of these things?
so we were farming. It was about 8 years into it, and I came across a CNBC article it was about Graham Stephan. I don't know
Yeah.
if you follow him on YouTube at all.
I've heard about him.
So he does a lot of real estate as well. He was a real estate agent in California.
Okay.
Found out about his YouTube channel, started listening to him, and that's kind of how I got hooked into real estate.
Mm.
Started listening to him, then he talked about Bigger Pockets. That's how I found out about Bigger Pockets. And
Okay. Yeah.
yeah, from there, pretty much just went full force into it. So we bought a rental while we were still farming.
Yeah.
Like it was a foreclosure. We fixed it up, started renting it out, and then pretty much saw that, hey, this is going to be a lot better than
This is
farming.
when you moved here now, right?
This is no, this is only a few years ago, like 3 years ago. It was
Okay.
during COVID.
Oh, wow.
We had some other, like we had the farmland. We had another property in Patton, which is about an hour south of us,
Mm-hmm.
that my mom was using as her medical office.
Yeah.
As far as actually renting out just to regular long-term tenants, we started that during COVID, so about
Okay.
2021.
Wow. Man, so I think you had a long journey, but in a short period of
Yeah,
time.
that's a very compressed
Wow.
version of the story.
Yeah, yeah. That's amazing. Wow. So you got into real estate. How did you learn about real estate? I mean, you got into the
Yeah,
podcast and everything. Did you learn everything from there, or is it?
pretty much. So we started, because I was working about 100 hours a week farming.
Yeah.
My four brothers and I were all farming together. I'm the oldest.
Mm.
The youngest one at that time was only 14 or 15 years old, but we
Okay.
were all working about 100 hours a week. But I was the main one hauling the hay, loading it. Every piece of equipment I operated had a Bluetooth radio in it. So I was listening to podcasts 14 to 16 hours a day, just
Well,
real estate. Like I didn't listen to music. I'm not into music much, but
while working in the farm.
exactly. Because
Okay.
I mostly operated equipment was my role in it.
Yeah.
So I was just listening to podcasts all day from like 5 in the morning till 10 at night.
Oh, yeah.
So I got about 2,000 hours a year of listening to podcasts.
Man.
It's like YouTube University, I guess.
Oh man, yeah, yeah. No, that's amazing. Because I had the same similar story. I was working
Huh.
60 hours a week at my job. I was driving the
Okay.
forklift, and I loved the forklift.
Yeah.
You know, every company that I went to, I drove that. But they've always given me an opportunity to wear one piece earpiece,
Nice.
you know, so I can listen to podcasts. So when you have a dream and goal, you always want to hear, you
Yeah.
want to get the next information. And if you're working that many hours, you don't really have
Yeah.
any of the time to do it.
Yeah, what are you gonna do? Listen to music the whole time
Yeah.
and waste your time?
Wow, man, I love that. And Jim Rohn talks about,
Yeah, I listen to him as
personal
well.
development
Yeah,
and to turning your car into
exactly.
educational system,
Yeah.
right? Wow.
So there's a lot of different podcasts I listen to, like Jim Rohn, Tony Robbins.
Yeah.
Bigger Pockets was a lot. I don't listen to him as much now, but I listened to him a lot, especially at the beginning.
Wow.
Ryan Pineda, all those
Yeah.
different ones that are pretty heavy in real estate and mindset.
Mm-hmm.
I think are the two most important ones.
How much of that do you think made you of who you are today? In real estate, especially.
Yeah, especially I mean, 100% real estate, because without listening to those podcasts or reading that article about Graham Stephan, I would never found out about it. Real estate never crossed my mind before that. I was just into farming, trying to figure out how we could scale that, because we had a fairly large operation at the time, and we were scaling it more and more each year.
Wow.
But yeah, without listening to those podcasts, no, I wouldn't have been where I was.
Man.
The farming definitely, like, it gave me the persistence, because to be even somewhat successful at farming, you have to have a lot of persistence, because it seems like a lot of bad things happen. Something's always breaking down.
Yeah.
Weather's bad. Like, you always run into a lot of issues. So
that actually gave you a mindset too.
I would say so.
You're
Yeah, the grit and the persistence. Yeah.
Wow. That is amazing, man. Wow. And so many people, right? They feel like they have to go to a particular school to get that education, right? I personally learned real estate from YouTube, which is scary. And I think you were there when I did my speech at multifamily, where I literally tell everybody that I got I said 90% of the education from YouTube.
Same.
And that is why we're doing this now.
Yeah.
Because we want to impact other people. We want to share our story with the world so that they can also actually learn what we are doing. They can also do what we do. They can also become, and even greater, right? And so anyways, I don't know if I asked you to subscribe to the channel, but if you have not yet subscribed to the channel, please go ahead and make sure you follow Adam and actually listen to this a couple of times, because if he got all of his education from YouTube, guess what? I would do more YouTube. That's a university, right?
I agree.
Yeah. So tell us. So that has shifted your mindset once you find out about a podcast. Yeah. It shifted your mindset. Now you're listening more and more.
Yeah.
You're growing as a person.
Yeah.
The books are helping you.
Yeah.
I'm so glad that you came across people like Jim Rohn. For me, I had to learn it when I was doing network marketing. So I feel like it's a bridge that everybody has to cross. And if you don't have people that speak to you, if you don't have anything that develops your mind, eventually you fall off.
Yeah.
Absolutely, because you go through so many
agree.
things like you shared, right?
Yeah.
Wow. So that added so much into you. How did you transition from from being in a farm, listening to podcasts? How did you go about now, putting full gear into real estate?
So while we were farming, like I said, we bought that first foreclosure and fixed it up.
Yeah.
And basically, as soon as we saw how real estate how it was going to change our lives, basically financially. It's not really just financially either. Like, working 100 hours a week while farming. Like, I have 4 little children, 7 and under. At that time, they were 5 and under, 5 down to, well, the last one wasn't born yet. But being gone that long, 5 in the morning till 10 or 12 at night, like, I never hardly got to see them.
Yeah.
And now with real estate, I can be home every evening. If I need to take off during the day, I can. Like, it's a lot better. It's a lot more geared toward family life, I would say.
Yeah. So you're building the life that you want through real estate.
Exactly. But yeah, as far as farming goes, we bought that one. We kind of transitioned slowly. Bought the one, saw how it was going to go. Then that next summer after that, my brothers and I discussed together, hey, do we want to keep farming or should we just completely get out?
Yeah.
And we all decided unanimously just to sell everything. We kept all the farmland because land is a good investment.
Yeah.
But we sold off all the equipment,
Wow.
completely shut down the business and
Wow.
transitioned to real estate 100%.
So you guys are all in real estate now.
Yeah. Well, my one brother last summer he moved out to Wyoming. He's doing welding now.
Okay.
But I think I wouldn't be surprised if he'll get back into real estate too eventually.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's 4 of us still that do that together.
Man, that's amazing.
So it's kind of a family enterprise.
Yeah. That's amazing. I like the vendor real estate. Yeah. Wow. So, what are you doing now? What are you focusing on now? I know you're doing some new builds. Tell us some of that, challenges. I think did you do some fix and flips or you never did fix and flips?
We've done a couple. Actually, they weren't really fix and flips. We bought a couple and we actually sold them with owner financing.
Okay.
So like the one we bought for a fairly discounted price and then we were able to sell it the next day for double the price, but with owner financing. So they're just paying us payments over 5 years.
Wow.
And we bought another one we were going to fix and flip, but someone was interested in it. So we ended up just flipping it as is, selling with owner financing. And then we sold a note to another mortgage note buyer, investor out of California. So we actually were able to recoup all our cash plus some profit right away within a couple months.
Man, that's amazing. Wow. So owner financing, a lot of people, if you're learning about real estate, you're gonna hear a lot of those terms. Seller finance is sub to creative ways to buy real estate without cash.
Yeah, I would definitely look into that.
Yeah.
It's a huge thing, especially if you're not bankable, to be able to buy apartments or even houses with owner finance. Especially right now, a lot of first-time home buyers. I have friends that say, "Oh, I can't buy a house. Rates are too high. I can't afford it." Well, there's a lot of owner financing.
That's
if
the
you
good
can
news.
you have to talk to a lot of people. But there are deals out there where you can do owner financing with little to nothing down.
Absolutely. That's why I bought my condo. I live in and never had to bring anything down. Maybe a little bit of money to fix it up a little bit, but that was about it.
Yeah, same. We bought a duplex last summer with almost nothing. It was 0 down. We did pay closing costs. It was about $2,500 total.
Wow.
We bought that with owner financing.
But
$145 a month payment on that one because we're just doing interest only at 3%, 3.5%. So there are deals like that out there if you can find them.
And this is all the way out there, man.
Yeah, this is up in northern Maine, right next to Canada.
Man, it's even hard for a lot of people to believe that you can actually buy a house for like $2,000.
Yeah.
It's hard to even to get it, but once you actually understand it and now you receive the information, you believe it.
Yeah.
It's possible.
Right.
It can be done.
It's 100% possible.
Wow. Man, tell us about some of the challenges you're facing, new builds. What are some, because I'm planning on those stuff. So that's the time where I need your mentorship. Tell us some of the challenges, some of the good things about new builds and what you like about it.
Up in northern Maine, new builds are really hard. So there's only 3 of us builders that are actually building up there right now.
Wow.
And none of us have been able to sell anything yet. Since the rates have gone higher, the market's really slowed down in Aroostook County. In other areas of the country, market still seems pretty hot. As far as challenges, really our biggest one I think is going to be getting it sold and actually making a profit on it. The materials are still fairly high.
Yeah.
The building itself hasn't really been challenging, but we have our own construction crew. So we're controlling it from start to finish. Like we did the groundwork, we have our own equipment. We did all the concrete work. The only thing we subbed out was the plumbing and electrical.
So you guys are actually saving more money. I mean, because you're doing it yourself.
Yeah.
You're not paying other people.
Right, and we can do good, like we like high quality work.
Yeah.
We don't stand for any shoddy work. So we know how it's being built.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
We can keep it on schedule better that way too, since we're controlling every facet of it.
Wow. Do you have other people that work with you, or do you hire some people out?
So my brothers are one crew, then I have a few employees on our other crew.
Yeah.
And we're looking to expand our second crew more as well, because we're getting into construction for other people to bring in more cash flow.
Yeah. Wow.
Help buy more real estate.
So you're buying real estate, you're doing new builds. At the same time, you have a construction team.
Yeah.
That can go and do other people's work.
Right.
When you're not doing your own buildings.
Yeah.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Wow. So how do you run that? I mean.
So I'm trying to set it up, I guess, like build it from the top down instead of the bottom up. So I hired a salesman. he goes out and finds the jobs for us. He actually does all the advertising. He even takes care of ordering materials for the job sites, make sure it's delivered there. Takes the pictures before and after, invoices the customers, collects the payment. Then I have a foreman that went to like a carpentry or tech school.
Yeah.
And he's also been on a construction crew for about 4 years.
Wow.
So he and I are building the company together basically. And then we have employees. So he runs the employees and he's actually the hands-on person for the crew.
Yeah.
But that allows me to be remote most of the time and kind of run it like I said from the top down.
Yeah, yeah. So if you're looking for a good crew, if you are up in the northern Maine,
North Country Construction,
this is your guys right here. Yeah. So make sure you reach out to them so that you can get the best construction team out there. It's because you know what people are looking for, right?
High quality work, show up on time.
So that's yeah. Tell us about doing deals in small market. How's that? Because we're in a bigger market, right? You kind of spoke about it a little bit in the car. Some of the challenges you face doing deals in a smaller market, and also I know that now you're doing deals in Atlanta.
Yeah, South Atlanta.
You know, why is that, and what kind of challenges are you facing in those markets?
So for challenges in northern Maine, there's not a lot of deal flow, so you really have to look around. Really have to get to know people. Networking, I think, is especially important in small markets.
Yeah.
Because if you can, meet with the local realtors in the area, the people that are buying and selling deals, I think that's probably the best way we've been finding to get deals.
Yeah.
Like a realtor brought us an 8-unit apartment complex that we closed on a few months ago.
Wow.
And without him, I never would have found that because he had just listed it, and that same day he sent it to me because he knew I'd be interested.
Wow.
We've been doing a little bit with virtual assistants, having them cold call, pull lists off PropStream, cold call homeowners. We've gotten a few deals that way as well.
Wow.
But I would say in smaller markets, it's hard to get any kind of volume of deals. Like if you're trying to buy 4 or 5 a month, that would be pretty.
It's a little bit.
We're only buying about 1 property a month on average, 1 every month or 2.
But even that consistency, bro.
That's what we're
working on. I think it's good. It's good. If you can do that and even in a year, if you can do 6 to 8, that's still golden.
Yeah.
And if you can do it consistently exactly once a month, then you got like 12, which is
that's what we're trying to do. Just be
good.
Consistent, just keep building.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
And as far as I think you'd asked about the Georgia markets that we're doing. So we're looking into that because there's a lot of businesses moving in the area like we had talked about earlier.
Yeah.
There's like Amazon warehouses, car factories, data centers. There's just a lot of population, a lot of businesses, money moving in down there.
Yeah.
So I think that's going to be a good market to really scale into because we want to eventually in the next 5 to 10 years have several hundred units. Since it's kind of a family business, we need enough cash flow for all of us.
Yeah.
And I think that'll be a better market to actually scale larger in.
Yeah. So you're thinking about building wealth through real estate.
Definitely.
So what is the importance of that to you? Like, generational wealth kind of stuff. What is why is that important to you? And why should that be important to a lot of people?
Well, first of all, I guess, especially for people that have a hard time saving money, it's like a forced savings account.
Yeah.
When you buy a house, you're paying the mortgage down every month.
Yeah.
When you have an apartment complex, your tenants are paying your mortgage down plus giving you cash flow. And then also you're getting mortgage pay down plus you're getting cash on top of that from the rents. You're getting appreciation of the apartments and then tax benefits, which are very important as well. It's also a good thing for your children to see you investing. Because most people are working as an employee all their life, 9 to 5, and then when they die, there's nothing left. And always working, they don't have financial independence. Can't just take off for a week or 2 if they want to go visit their family or go on a trip or something. So real estate gives you that financial independence. It just allows you to be independent, a multitude of ways.
Yeah. Well, the scriptures also says that a good man leaves an inheritance to his children's children.
True. Yeah.
And so for me, it's like the best vehicle to ever actually be able to have tangible wealth. Because earth, you're right. It's God's. It's where God really, even the name just real, right?
Yeah, it's not like
real wealth,
stocks or
it's not disappearing.
For sure.
We invested into a lot of things before, and I lost a lot of money in different things that businesses that I've been in. But real estate is tangible. and I really think that there's a lot of vehicles,
Yeah,
but I don't think there's any better vehicles than real estate, in my
I
opinion.
agree. It's not a get rich quick, but get rich for sure, like everybody says. Well, I've been
Exactly.
seeing that in our life. I mean, that's how we've been making our wealth is through real estate. Even while farming, the money really came from real estate, owning all the farmland and getting
Mm-hmm.
that paid off.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's worth almost 5 times what we paid for it 10 years ago.
Wow.
And so really the money was made through real estate even while we were trying to farm.
Wow. So 10 years from being broke to
Yeah.
becoming a millionaire in real estate. Because I'm pretty sure with the assets that you said, probably the assets you have are probably over millions, right?
Yeah.
And so, how, how real is it to you that you can be coming from a poor family and
Middle
then
class, yeah. I don't
middle
know. We weren't
class?
poor. I mean, we always had food.
Mm-hmm.
We always had money, like for soccer lessons and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But so I would say middle
Middle
class.
class.
But
So
yeah,
from coming from middle class to building roasted assets, right? Building wealth there.
hmm
The challenges, obviously you talked about the things, the people you came across. Uh, how much of 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 the people that you met really changed your mind to start building wealth? When did that click in for you? Like,
it wasn't really so much the people I met. I would say it really was just through the podcasts and through the real estate books that I
mm-hmm.
read. Because the people really around me, since I was farming, I surrounded myself with people that were also into that.
Yeah.
And so they weren't into buying income producing assets. They were
Mm.
just more of the mindset to either be an employee and earn money that way or maybe have a small business,
Mm.
but still being basically an employee.
Yeah. Wow.
And so it really was through just the podcasts and the books, real estate
Mm.
books that I read, and that changed. And then after I did that, I started going to real estate conferences and networking with other investors.
Mm.
And that kind of brought me to the next level, I would say.
That's huge.
Yeah.
That's huge. You actually came to our events a
Yeah.
couple of times. So what I love about you is you're always networking. You're always going to events. You're always finding out what event is going to add value to you. Because so many people want a better life,
Yeah.
but they're not willing. I mean, once you get out of work, what are you doing with your time? That matters a lot.
Yeah.
What did you say?
Yeah, I agree. For me, for what I do with my time, I mean, it's really real estate. Real estate is my business and it's also my hobby. So, so I find it very interesting. After hours, I'm reading about real estate, studying
Yeah.
about real estate, listening to more podcasts. Even when I
Man.
work out in the morning, I'm just listening to real estate podcasts because I
Wow.
find it interesting. So,
Wow.
and yeah, like you said, the events and networking with other investors, talking to them.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you are the sum of the 5 people you hang around with.
Yeah.
And you won't be any different in 5 years. I know it's quotes that people say a lot, but I've found it 100% true.
Mm-hmm.
You won't be any different in 5 years, except for the books you read, the people you hang around with.
Wow. What are some
So,
of the books that you read that you feel like that have really transformed your whole life or your business? What are some of your favorite books that you can release to people?
um, I mean, really was the podcast, and after that, I read Rich Dad Poor Dad,
Rich Dad Poor
which I
Dad.
had kind of already had that mindset, but that sort of helped cement it. Buying income producing assets,
Yeah.
Stop trading time for money,
Mm-hmm.
helped really cement that
Mm.
thought process into me.
Mm.
Lately, I've been reading like how to raise private capital,
Yeah.
raising money from other people, even using their IRAs to invest in real estate. Most people don't know about that.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
401k.
401ks, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
10X by Grant Cardone.
I read that
Some
last
sales
year.
processes.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow.
Even another one I read that was pretty interesting was a novel, or I guess an allegory, was Atlas Shrugged. That was another really good one, just to
Okay.
see. I don't know if you've ever read it.
I don't think so.
It's basically an allegory about how like communism taking over capitalism,
Hmm.
and basically how that system, people think, oh, take from the rich and give to the poor, and how it never really works in real life. And you can look at countries that have done it; it's never actually worked.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that book, like I was already a capitalist, and now I'm like 100%
You are even
diehard
more, I guess.
capitalist. Yeah.
Ah, man, it's crazy, but I love how we can relate in a lot of different ways, because the more you get so much handouts,
Yeah,
you know,
it's
the-
such a mental handicap. Like even of my different tenants that get Section 8 handouts. Like they're not a handout, but Section 8 voucher for their rent.
Yeah.
Like once you start getting handouts, you almost can hardly get off that. It's almost like I
Yeah.
don't know if it's an addiction or a drug, but
You're used to
it
it now.
handicaps you.
Yeah.
You're pretty much stuck on that for your whole life. So, I mean, I guess if you have to take it to get you through a hard spot, maybe, but get off that any kind of vouchers as quickly as you can.
Yeah.
Even with farming, there's a lot of that, a lot of government subsidies. We never took anything while we were farming. There's a lot of that, and that's really the only way farmers actually make money that I've seen.
Yeah.
Even during COVID, a lot of the local farmers, some of them got like $1 million grant just for keeping their employees on, and then they were keeping their employees anyway, so that money just went into their pocket.
Wow. Wow.
So there's a lot of those subsidies, and once you start taking all that, it seems really, really hard to get off.
Yeah,
So
it's like an addiction, like you said.
it seems
It's like,
it.
why should I leave the free things that I'm getting
Yeah.
and then go work hard for it?
Yeah. You want to be independent. You want to be a capitalist. Make your own way in life, because I feel like that's the best way, and the people that are the most successful, that's what they.
Yeah. Wow.
They do.
No, I love that mindset because I think for you to grow as a person, you have to, strive. And sometimes you actually have to be in difficult areas so that you can actually think about how can I do something different? How can I? But if you don't
I like
have
that.
that,
How, not just say I can.
yeah, yeah.
How can I?
How can I?
And then
How
the next level above that is who. Who do I know that can fix, or help me fix this problem? So I'm not just
Absolutely.
doing it on my own.
Yeah, yeah. And the more, and getting into business is like when you start saying, okay, I should fix that problem here, this problem, and make money out of it somehow.
Yeah.
Then you know that, okay, now we are talking, right?
Exactly.
Wow. So talk to us, you got into new builds. Was there any special classes that you took for those new builds, or is it something that you just kind of, because you grew up in a farm, was it something that you just kind of knew, like this is what I'm supposed to be doing?
I didn't take any specific classes. The only one I took, I guess, was for the ICF, like styrofoam blocks for doing foundations.
Yeah.
That's the only one I actually took. Otherwise, I had hands-on experience. I worked for a building crew for a couple years building houses when I was in my early 20s.
Okay.
So I had experience there. Worked for a roofer for a couple summers as well.
You got
Metal roofing.
You got the whole package, man.
Yeah. So this is kind of an experiment to see like how new builds are going to do in northern Maine, because there is a big housing shortage, but the new builds we're doing a little bit higher end. They're like the high $300,000, low $400,000 range.
Okay, that's
so I'm
your
not,
niche
yeah, it's a little bit of a niche market, especially for northern Maine.
Yeah.
So we're going to see how that does. We do have a couple exit strategies. So we finished one new build and we're starting our second. And if it doesn't sell, we'll probably rent it out for a year or two and then try to sell it later. Maybe even do rent to own or owner finance and then sell the mortgage to someone else. So we have a couple exit strategies that.
Yeah. And how are you funding those things?
Basically the BRRRR method. So we've bought real estate, we rehabbed it, and then we refinanced, pull that money out because we had purchased the property cash.
Yeah.
And then we use that cash to go do the next deal.
Wow.
And actually on this second spec home that we're doing, we actually made a deal, since I know the owners of the hardware store, and they're actually selling the materials to us and allowing us to wait like 90 days before we start paying for the material. Then we just have to pay a certain amount per month until the house sells. So they're basically funding most of the project actually for us.
So now you're also reading a book about raising capital.
Yeah.
That's going to explode your business.
Yeah, on the lot for the land that the house sits on, the town agreed to basically owner finance a lot to us. So when we sell the place, even if it takes a year or two, they're going to wait to collect payment until we sell the place. No payments and no interest on it. So
you got a good, is it a bank you said?
No, the town, so the subdivision we're building in the town owns a subdivision.
Okay.
They own each lot.
Okay.
And they kind of want someone to come in there and start building. So they were willing to owner finance a lot to us with nothing down and no payments until we sell the place. So yeah, they were willing to help us out a little bit that way.
Is this something that a lot of cities do, or do you think it's only them?
They're incentivized because they really want people to come up there and start building, and there's not a whole lot of builders in northern Maine. So I'm not sure how it would work in other cities. This is the only place I've done it is northern Maine. So
wow. Well, we have to look into that, because Bill and I were looking into different opportunities. We're learning about new builds. We're learning about how we can get started.
There is a housing shortage, so they might be incentivized to work with you. But
yeah, I believe there's opportunity.
It's worth asking. The worst they can do is say no.
Absolutely, absolutely. Wow. So time is up, but I want to definitely I want to talk about maybe what we should be doing next.
Okay.
I love how you're flying out with your plane, and I would love to really go and see your new build at some point,
Sure.
and actually come there so you can show us, tell us, break numbers down
Yeah,
and
I'd be happy to do
everything.
that.
Yeah, so like the price you bought it for
Hmm.
and how much you invested into this
Sure.
and everything. So we would love to keep that for the next podcast that we do together.
Okay.
So for anybody that is following our journey, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Make sure you follow me on all the social media platforms. Make sure you follow Adam because if you are all the way in Northern Maine and you want to do deals, Adam may be your guy here. Whether you're looking for construction, whether you're looking for
I'm always happy to talk to people that have
ways, even
questions.
yeah, even just a little bit of mentorship or
Sure.
coaching, whatever it is that you
Yeah.
may need, because he's got the whole package. And
Well, I feel
so,
like the more people that do better around me, like a rising tide lifts all boats. I firmly believe that. So I
amen.
don't want to keep that knowledge to myself. The more that people do better around me, the better we'll all do. Like even my foreman of my crew, he's actually getting real estate now. He's buying a triplex, closing on
Wow.
it next month.
Because he started working next to you.
Yeah, he started working. He had no interest in real estate, but now we just always are talking about it. So
Yeah.
he's buying that. My salesman's actually
amazing.
just bought a duplex as well.
That's
So
amazing.
yeah,
Wow.
I want everybody around me to become wealthy.
Absolutely, man. Where can people find you?
Right now, I'm just on Facebook, so Adam Bindar. It's
Okay.
my personal page. Bindar Real Estate Investments can be
Cool.
found there.
Yeah.
But really just Facebook currently. So
Cool. Make sure you DM him if you're in the area. And I know he's reading books about raising funds. And also, if you have money that's sitting around, you're looking to deploy it into real estate. I think you mentioned a few different ways earlier how you can deploy your money into real estate. There's a few different ways. I personally partner with people when they bring a
Thanks so
deal
much.
to me. They bring a wholesale deal to me, or they want to do a JV partnership on it, or they have some funds. They don't know how to get into real estate, but they have funds and they want me to use the funds to in my real estate business to do a project, and then they follow the whole journey, so they make money at the same time they've learned a skill.
Exactly.
That's another way. So the other thing is you can use your 401ks, a bunch of different ways. Mention a few there.
IRA.
IRAs. What other ones there?
I mean, even if you just have money sitting in your savings account,
Bank accounts,
HELOCs,
savings, HELOCs.
yeah, home equity line of credit
Yeah.
you can do.
Yeah.
There's numerous different strategies, so
Yeah.
happy to talk about it anytime.
Yeah. And always add value. It's always good to add value. I think in our last podcast we said that it's always better to come to somebody with value. It's not so much about what can I take from this person. It's like, oh, hey Adam, I have a deal here. Hey, I have some funds. Hey, how can I do some things with you? And it gets you in the door quicker. Do you know how many DMs I get a day? Like, hey, teach me this, teach me this. But most of the time when somebody send me things, hey, I have a deal, I tend to look at that first because there's so much of, hey, teach me this. But then I record and I try to give people the education on YouTube and stuff. So I still want to give. At the same time, I'm looking for people who said, who I want to add value to this guy's life, or I want to add value to this person. And I found out that it actually gets you ahead quicker because
Exactly.
you're coming with a adding value mentality.
Exactly. You're looking for a win-win situation.
Yeah,
So.
yeah. So, guys, make sure you follow us. Make sure you follow Adam. And thank you so much for being here with us. And until next time, God bless.